You go to a chaotic scene like that with yellow tape and local law enforcement there and people crying and physical evidence and blood on the ground, and people are looking for somebody to take control. And I remember walking out of my car with that gun and badge on my hip, and you could feel it. Here comes the FBI. Okay, they've got this. The Boulder attack happened on June 1st on a Sunday. And so many things happen at one time. Our society has changed where, it's a 24/7 news cycle. And so this is happening, unfolding in front of you in real time. And there's so many things you're responsible for as the leader. I think when it comes to times of crisis, people want stability. They want reassurances. They want a steady hand to land the plane. And that's what my focus was on, that although I have the same emotions, anxiety, stress that is happening, we need to be the steady hand to land the plane. I think there's a misperception with the FBI that we have to be the lead. And, when the feds come in, they take it over and, here we go. But that's not the case. We can prop up local law enforcement and to provide the forensic, technical, analytic, tactical, behavioral expertise that they may not have or may be overwhelmed due to the size of the incident. And thankfully, we have a strong relationship with the Boulder Police Department. And so the chief called me personally as I could hear the siren in the background as he was rolling to the scene. So we have plans in place, just like the military when there's a crisis, and you send that flare up and you execute the crisis management plan. And you work in real time. Everything's moving at 100 miles an hour. Being the leader in that situation, you are getting torn in multiple directions. So you have your employees responding to the scene. You have local law enforcement. You have elected leaders here in Colorado that want to know what's happening. You have elected leaders in D.C. That want to know what's happening, to the point where my phone broke.
Oh my goodness!
There's so many phone calls at once, it was fried.
Wow.
And so again, focusing on, I've got to be the steady drumbeat. I've got to be measured here to telegraph that we've got this, but also a trust and confidence that your people do have it, and to get out of the way. They're the experts. I'll block and tackle for them and let them run. And I telegraphed that in our culture and let them run, and they did phenomenal. And I focused on what my responsibility was not on being at the scene and seeing what's going on. And in that, it was engaging with executive leaders to be able to understand what we have, what resources we need, and to be able to deliver. Now, at that time, given the context of what was happening overseas, we knew this would be an international interest immediately. So it could either go very well and controlled, or it could be absolutely horrible.
Right.
And so that's another layer of pressure. And when you go back to the fundamentals at the Air Force Academy of when it matters most, that you buckle your chin strap on the helmet and you just get to it. And you immediately go into that mode and distance your emotions and thoughts and anxieties and put those to the side and focus on the mission at hand. And we knew when we were giving statements in the press that it would be carried internationally. So a different layer of stress as a leader. We had simultaneous operations. We had the scene. The subject had a makeshift flamethrower and threw Molotov cocktails. There was about 15 victims at the time that were transported. Luckily, he was arrested by a Boulder police officer on the scene. But we also had activity in Colorado Springs, where his house was, so generating search warrants and everything for that, and then a mobile command post to be able to assist Boulder PD.
I'm curious because I remember the reason why you left active duty, or you transitioned from active duty to the FBI, because you wanted to be in the things, doing the things. You find yourself now in positions where you're leading. How have you grown as a leader yourself? What have you learned about yourself in this not being able to be the one doing, but like you said, blocking and tackling? How have you grown yourself?
So I was a violent crime agent when I first graduated from Quantico, and I did that for about 12 years. And it was all about impact for me. So I worked bank robbery and armored car robbery scenes. And I remember this. I remember these scenes as we're talking, but you go to a chaotic scene like that with yellow tape and local law enforcement there and people crying and physical evidence and blood on the ground, and people are looking for somebody to take control. And I remember walking out of my car with that gun and badge on my hip, and you could feel it. Here comes the FBI. Okay, they've got this. And to be able to turn order into chaos, or chaos into order, rather.
Yeah.
And create, develop evidence, make a case, prosecute it, provide that sense of closure for victims. That was the juice for me. But then I started to feel the calling of leadership from the military. And I started to see that as you move up the ranks, you're able to make more and more impact with a greater group of people. But that really motivated me to be able to give back that public safety kind of motivation in larger and larger groups of people. And often when it comes to leadership, whether you're in the military or the FBI, there's kind of this imposter syndrome of like, do I really have this? But you look back and say, look at all the things I've endured, look at all the experiences I've had, all the different places I've led all over the world, and it's turned out just fine. I've got this. And to move up the ranks and to make decisions and lead larger and larger groups of people and learn from those decisions, that was my spark. And then at that point, I just continued down the pipeline. I'm at a point now where I'm operating and leading at the enterprise level, which is impactful, stressful, humbling, and rewarding. But that special agent in charge position, that was the ideal position because you're directly connected with the people. We've got about 500 employees between the two states and are ingrained in the community to be able just to help more and more people.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this leadership lesson, watch the full episode by hitting the thumbnail here and subscribe now to get the latest episodes of Long Blue Leadership delivered directly to your YouTube feed or wherever you get your podcasts.